G'day YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to today's voting video on YouTube. Today is something extraordinary, something amazing has happened. And guess what? I've actually massacred 1 or 2 male flowers. And of course, yes, hey, guess what? I've just seen a female flower. And apparently, it's actually, oh, look at this. Oh, wow, we've got some very good extraordinary news here, eh? Apart from the magpies chattering outside, apparently there's about 2 juvenile magpie birds that are just straightforward chattering, begging for food, because obviously that's how juveniles are. Who knows about that? There could be more birds along the way, hey, just to basically, how would I say it, annihilate my whole video content and whatnot, because obviously they are pretty much interrupting my videos, aren't they? Making a lot of noises. But anyways, hey, let's just hope there's no copyrighted infringement music today, because hey, I can't really stand just having to put music on my YouTube channel these days. Especially those which have been copyrighted, and there's a crow squawking in the video. God damn it, quiet you two! And they won't listen to me. About 3 of them, actually. And they're still doing it. Quiet! That's more like it. Okay, with that being said, with the noisy crows, or should I just say corvids in general, because obviously these guys, yes, they're still making a lot of noise. But anyways, let me just go ahead and start having a look at the male and the female flower. And I'll tell you what, here's something very, very good to really identify between both the male and the female flower. Of course, the magpies are still chirping. I'll take a look at the rest of the whole backyard garden again, but I'm going to more specifically cover about both what the male and the female flowers do. They all have a purpose. And I've actually got 2 female pumpkin flowers. There is, of course, one, but unfortunately, the one I just had, and if I go back to the one I've just had recently, yes, let me just find the one which has been poorly pollinated, and I think it's that one there. This one there looks like it's kind of drooping, but I think it's, oops, there goes my first attempt of a female flower. That, unfortunately, has broken off, so it's goodbye, good riddance, sadly. I dare say this one has been poorly pollinated, so the first one, unfortunately, has pretty much died. There will be another female pumpkin flower appearing, maybe sometime. I can see another one, so there might be 1 or 2 female pumpkin flowers. Unfortunately, the first one has died, so that wasn't very good of me, looking at that, doing just that, I think. I think that was caused by very poor pollinating. Now, as I'm going to walk around my whole backyard garden, and there's a magpie bird. That was pretty unexpected. So, I've just done some various updates. I've got a calendula flower seedling. There's some potato seedlings here as well. They're not dried up yet at the moment, but I can just see quite a few of them. About 3 to 4, possibly 5 potato plants now starting to really, or probably 6, I wouldn't say 7, starting to look like that they are drooping. Yes, they've not done that particularly well. That pumpkin plant that I've just planted has done very, very well. I'm really surprised. Hey, maybe I can try and, basically trim off, well, let's just say, some parts, some vines of the pumpkin plant, just to have a go at maintaining this beast. Oh, man, and there's another potato seedling, which unfortunately, I don't think it's really going to grow very well, because obviously it has lacked the tuber root type thing that potatoes are more famous for. That's the part that we eat. Okay, so we've also got the couple of tomato seedlings. They've grown certainly well, and there's 2 pepper seedlings here as well. There's some lettuces. I might have to probably shelter them, because it's going to be like 26 degrees Celsius, and lettuces don't really seem to fare better in these types of temperatures. They will bolt, I think, and I can see, oh, is that a potato plant that's growing? I can't really tell if it is. But anyways, we've got more calendula seedlings being transplanted. Lots of nasturtiums. Oh yes, lots and lots of big sized nasturtiums. We've got a few sunflower seedlings. I can see 2, 3, about 5 of them are alive, which is fantastic to know. Hopefully, let's keep everything in track, or on track in general. But hey, my crikey Charlies, here's something very awesome I really want to show you. There is another female pumpkin flower right there, and usually the female pumpkin flowers often tend to be much significantly larger than it is with the males, and it's actually quite very nice to see why. Because you know why? Well, it might depend on what individual flower it is. I think they can still be hand pollinated, especially when after watering. So I can see the sunflower seedling now, straightforward. Yeah, it's still got the sunflower head, but it's unfortunately lost all of its petals, because that's how they are after flowering, with their good old hard work of displaying with bright, vibrant colours. Anyways, we've got strawberries as well, and alongside that, there's some cornflowers, and they've actually been doing certainly very well. I need to keep that soil a little bit more moist, compost moist, because obviously even if it does look moist, it might have the potentiality of actually getting dried up again. So I'm going to have to probably keep this one intact. I need to try and intactly, why am I not saying it correctly? Trying to water this beast down before it starts to wilt. And of course, yes, there'll be no more blossoms, no more pollen for bees and other insects alike. And there's a hoverfly coming in. See? Very impressive. Interesting with cornflowers, you might think there's actually like more than one flower. Well, actually there is. That head is actually made up with multiples and multiples of flowers and petals alike. And there you go, you can see the hoverfly pollinating. Very beautiful. It's making up life for the other ones, of course. And hey, let's go back to the other pumpkin seedlings. Of course, yes, we've got two more. Actually, three more pumpkin seedlings. I'm not seeing those which have got a female flower. But let me go ahead and show you the female flower right here. Of course, it's the one with the spherical round end, which signifies, yes, that's where the fruit is. And of course, yes, I can see more nasturtiums, calendulas. They're always a sign of my backyard garden. But I'm going to show you on how I hand pollinate the pumpkins. Of course, yes, it's beautiful to have a lot of like bees, wasps, insects, and various different types of insects and pollinators are like trying to penetrate in my backyard garden to pollinate both the male and the female flower. But there is a very clever trick that I like to show you. And sorry for my shorts and feet being exposed. And I've got some paintbrushes. Usually, let's just say a nicely sized paintbrush, maybe somewhat medium sized. Small to medium sized paintbrushes will do the job. If you do choose bigger ones, oh sorry, that was my tablet strap. If you do choose bigger ones, that might not actually work. I'd probably presume a much smaller one or a much medium sized one will certainly do the job. And here's one particular trick I like to do. If I go ahead and straightforward show you where the male flower is. So as you can see, the male has got a stamen, and that is also where the majority of all that pollen is like. And I'm actually going to take this one out. Usually one, or let's just say about 1 to 3, let's just say male pumpkin flowers will have to do the job. And this is what I've been doing so far. Okay, so I like to take out this male flower right here. And I'm basically going to show you how it works. Sorry if my tablet is going a lot more shaky. So this is what I like to do. I like to brush out as much pollen out from the male flower. And the most important part that I really want to insert is of course the stigma. Now I'm not painting. I'm actually hand pollinating towards... Oops, sorry, I need to show you towards directly on my camera here, right? It's this female flower that I need to show you, because obviously I want to try and aim for these lobes, which I am very much aiming for specifically. Okay, so I'm just going to straightforward pivot my camera here. There's no stands here, so I have to really become the stand, which is a bummer. But as you can see, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm actually going to paint over these lobes. And what I'm actually doing is I'm actually feeding to the female part of the flower. Apparently there's 2, so that's a very good sign to see and or hear. You can also try and take out the male flower, of course, and I can also, yes, I can also insert that. I can just carefully rub this one, of course. Hopefully this is all going to be a very good conclusion. Of course, I've just done one. I suppose if you put too much pollen in it, maybe there's a negative side effect. I don't know what kind of negative side effect would probably have. Okay, here's the other male flower. Of course, I can either paint I can use a paintbrush, and my legs are aching. Mind you, I don't know how much rest am I going to really rely on. Mind you, I have to try and do something about myself. And just go ahead and grab a much larger... I'll just probably put the rest of the other paintbrushes down into the floor, of course. I'll just probably put the other 3 onto the other side. Hopefully I can still see them. So I've got the male flower with me today. And this is what I'm doing. So I'm basically just going to brush some of this off and insert that to the female flower. And this is what I've been doing. I've been training to rely on having to paint over, of course. I tend to rub it on all of the sides of the female flower. So I'll just give it a nice rub, painting more specifically at this area here. I can see a wasp, obviously, a bumblebee and a wasp who has decided to try and penetrate towards this flower. But I think, let's just say 2 to 3 pumpkin flowers will pretty much do the job better. I think if I did it too much, it might be considered poor pollinating. It might be too much. But yes, there's a lot of pollen from that stamen actually, because this is a male flower. You can just see there's a big cargo of pollen that the male flower has a lot of, and you feed it directly to the female flower, just like what I've done as a good boy. So do this 1 to 3 times. And hopefully when you get the right amount of pollen, it should actually completely formulate what looks like to be a very good pumpkin. And the other thing I'd also like to do is that if I want a much larger sized pumpkin, I can actually come along and trim off some of the vines and also these leaves. You know, trim these down with like secateurs or scissors or pliers to try and get rid of some of these big overwhelmingly sized vines. Okay, yes, so that'll be a very fine way, hey, to try and heavily rely on what pumpkins I might be able to plant later on. And as I can start to see, hey, there's another female flower. So it's interesting to see, hey, most of the flowers, hey, that the pumpkins seemingly produce are, of course, male. But, of course, yes, you do get quite a few females onto this, which is quite a nice sign. And hopefully, if I do find another female flower, I will have to straightforward self-pollinate them, hand-pollinate them. You know, that's one of the best things. You know, in nice weather conditions, bees and wasps and hoverflies and, you know, butterflies, you know, and other pollinators alike, they are happy to straightforward pollinate both the male and the female flower simultaneously. And that's on coughing, god damn it. But the main problem is that, let's just say in duller conditions or in times or in certain times when you don't see that many insects flying around just pollinating and rubbing towards male and female flowers, the only thing you need to do if you want a very successful fruit is to come along and take out the male flower and feed it to the female flower. Don't take out the female flowers, actually, because if you do take out the female flowers, well, you're not going to get any fruit. That's the only problem. And here's something a bit more secretive. You know these lobes on the female flower's stigma? They actually represent what's inside of the pumpkin, most specifically of what their seeds are going to be like. So obviously all that pollen is going to be transferred to the guts, to the internal innards of the pumpkin fruit. So it's going to be very interesting of how I've been hand pollinating them. And yes, I've done so good so far. I've just been hand pollinating them. Make sure it has, I think, if you want to have another tip from me, well, here's something for you. I think I might be totally wrong in doing this, but I think it's best if you do it from another pumpkin plant. I'm not sure. Here's something I merely pinpointed myself. Maybe if I did it on a different, maybe if I try and grab a male pumpkin flower from a different pumpkin plant, and then insert it to, well, let's just say the one that's actually right in front of me, it would have been a lot more effective than just having to grab, you know, one male pumpkin flower that comes from the same sort of plant. As I'm looking around, hey, there's not that many male plants. I tell you what, there's actually not that many male pumpkin flowers now. I can see a female, and there's actually 2 right here. So I might as well just probably leave for the time being, hey, because guess what? I've actually already pollinated the pumpkin flowers. Oh, I can just see one male flower. Of course, yes, as we all know, that the male pumpkin flowers don't have this fruit end on the bottom here, of course. I can just straightforward take this damn thing out and wrench this apart, of course. Like a good boy, hey, I'm trying to keep an eye out of all of the plants I grow. Okie dokie, yes, I can also see another male pumpkin flower, but is it part of the same plant? Yes, I can basically see what it is. So that's another male flower. Only take out the ones. Maybe the hardest thing to do is to find ones which are from a different plant. So okay, this is the male flower here, and once again I'm going to show you how I demonstrate this. This one has got a much larger clump of pollen. So I grab this large clump of pollen, like so. So I grab all of this, and then one other key factor is that I basically just rub onto the female flower. So basically rubbing it all over, of course, making sure it's penetrating. All nicely, of course. Yep, all looking good so far. Yep, I'm just going to grab the stamen out so that, oh yes, look at that, there's a lot of pollen inside of that flower. That is actually quite a big clump full of pollen inside of that male flower. That is actually quite stunning, completely nutty stunning. So I'm just going to take this, of course. It's actually looking very, very good to know. Always doing this on every corner, every part of the corner of this plant, which will be fantastic. Oops, I think I've broken out the stamen, and there you go, there's the pollen here, eh? But I'm doing a very good job of putting out a lot more effort on putting pollen everywhere. And I tell you what, it is actually quite a very excellent thing to do. So there you go, this is what I've been doing so far, so good. So there's a couple of ways, either using a paintbrush or just using hands, just to self-rub pollinate, just to hand pollinate the pumpkins, flowers, going from, let's just say, you can just straightforward strip off one different male to a female of, a specific plant that you're after for. It has to be pumpkins, butternut squash. I think you can also do the same thing with cucumbers as well. Well, I might be totally wrong, because obviously, hey, I think that's the thing with gourds. You have to really keep hand pollinating if you don't have any bees that are straightforward attracting to any. And the other problem is that if you want to have a really good crop, as I said earlier on before, these flowers will conclude their blooming session. That's one thing I've also witnessed. And the magpies are making a lot of noise. I'm going to go ahead and start putting the lettuce into the shade, and also the cabbages, because obviously it's going to get too hot. So I'm just going to probably put them into a much shaded area, so that they can be highly protected against such deadly sunshine levels. I mean, it's not deadly yet, but I think the temperatures are going to be like 26 or 25, maybe 24 degrees Celsius. That's the only problem when growing lettuces and cabbages. They do bolt very, very quickly. I think cabbages can handle a bit more heat tolerance better. But yet again, both cabbages and lettuces, they are very much a cool climate sort of vegetable. Anyways, I'm just going to put these guys, the one other vegetable I'd like to grow is pak choy or bok choy. Maybe that'll be a very good thing I'd like to invest in sometime this month. But there you go. This is amazing. Tell you what, I've actually got so many plants growing in my backyard garden, it's almost not that pretty much funny and ridiculous. And basically, hopefully, I want to try and see how much I can really contend so well in so many ways. It's going to be totally nutty awesome. Anyways, I'm going to leave this video right here. I hope if you really enjoyed this video about me hand pollinating pumpkin flowers, extracting, you can basically extract the male pollen to the female stigma. Obviously, that was very fantastic, looking at how I self-pollinate pumpkins, and maybe you can also do that too, learning how to self-pollinate pumpkins from human beings like me. You and I suppose, hey, all of us, just self-pollinating pumpkin flowers. Anyways, I'm going to leave the video right here, eh? There's a lot of noisy magpies outside, and I better have to do some indoor stuff because I'm doing a lot of toy view behind-the-scenes thingy bobs that I can't just show you, hey, because obviously, hey, I might as well just do that in a toy view. So if you really enjoyed this video, please give this video a very good like, subscribe more for that videos in the future, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.